Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine you're a startup founder, right? Full of ambition, scaling your team super fast.
Yeah.
You've just found that game-changing person, the one who's going to really push your venture forward.
Yeah.
So you quickly draft an offer letter, you hit send and think, phew, done, back to the product.
Right, job done. Move on.
But what if that simple document, that first formal handshake, is actually a legal minefield just waiting? Today, we're diving deep into something absolutely foundational, but honestly, often overlooked.
Oh.
The employment offer letter, specifically for you startups building teams in India.
And what's really key here and often misunderstood is that this isn't just about, being formal or ticking a box.
Right.
It's about critical legal compliance, stuff that can literally save you from, hefty penalties, really disruptive audits, and just future legal headaches down the road.
So we're going to unpack why this document, far from being just admin work, is really a core pillar of your company's legal health.
Exactly. Foundational.
And our mission today, it's to pull out the most important insights from our source material. Crafting compliant Indian startup offer letters. We want to make sure you get really well informed on what you absolutely need to nail from day one.
Yeah, show you how to navigate the tricky bits, avoid those common traps.
And build that solid, legally sound foundation for your growing team.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Why is a compliant offer letter such a big deal in India? I mean, for a lot of founders, it probably just feels like a piece of paper confirming the job, right? Why is it so much more?
Well, what's truly critical, and this is the important part, is that in India, it's not just like a nice to have or best practice. It's actually a legal requirement under most state-specific Shops and Establishments Acts.
State-specific, okay. That already sounds complicated.
It is, because these are state-level laws. They regulate things like working conditions, hours, holidays, employment terms generally.
Right.
So if you're hiring remotely across different states, which so many startups are now, or even opening small offices in new cities, you absolutely have to check the specific act for that state. It's not one single national law, and that's where people get tripped up.
I see.
This means whether you're hiring in, say, Delhi or Mumbai or the tech hub like Bengaluru, your offer letter isn't just a welcome note. It has to include very specific details.
And if it doesn't?
Well, missing essentials like the employer's official name, the employee's full legal identity, the specific job role, not vague, specific wages, even the precise working hours.
Okay.
That can invite serious problems. We're talking everything from, inconvenient government audits that just halt everything to significant financial penalties. And for a startup, that can really hurt.
Wow.
Think of it like this. It's your company's very first legal handshake with that new hire. You just have to get it right. Otherwise, that handshake could become a liability later.
So for you, the founder or the HR lead listening in, this isn't about just ticking a box.
Yeah.
It's really about building a robust, legally sound foundation right from the start, from that very first interaction.
Exactly. It sets the legal tone, absolutely, but also kind of the cultural tone.
Right.
Shows you're serious, you're professional, and crucially, it helps avoid those costly, time-consuming arguments later. It's like an investment in future peace of mind.
Okay, so if it's that crucial, what are the absolute must-have components, the non-negotiables that every single startup in India needs in that letter?
Right, the bare minimum. You absolutely need full employer and employee, details, names, addresses, the exact start date, the precise job title, the designation, a clear description of the duties, what will they actually do.
Okay.
Specific working hours, a detailed compensation breakup, not just the total figure.
The breakup is key.
Crucial. Then, the terms of probation, if there is one, specific notice period and termination clauses. How does this relationship end if it needs to?
Right.
And really important for tech startups especially, details on confidentiality and intellectual property, IP ownership.
Got it.
And of course, you need a clear signature block. Both parties need to sign to make it a formal agreement.
And you're saying you can't just grab one off the internet?
Definitely not. This isn't something you just copy paste from some outdated Word file you found online or maybe a template from the US or UK. It won't work.
Right.
Every startup needs to get this precise for India from day one. It avoids so many future headaches. It's about being proactive, setting clear expectations, clear legal protections. You don't want to be patching things up when a problem has already blown up.
Can you give an example, where does this go wrong?
Sure. IP ownership, like I mentioned. If you don't clearly state in the offer letter that any IP created by the employee during their employment belongs to the company, you could find yourself in a really tricky spot later. Maybe an engineer leaves and claims they own the code they wrote for your main product.
Ouch.
It happens, and it can seriously derail things. So getting it right in the offer letter is your first line of defense.
That's a really critical point. Get it right from day one. Now, you mentioned Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru earlier, suggesting these regional differences.
Yeah.
This sounds really important, especially in India with its, diverse legal landscape. Does compliance actually change much between states?
It absolutely does, and this raises a really important practical question because, yes, there are state-specific nuances founders often just don't know about.
Like what?
Okay, for example, in Delhi, the Delhi Shops and Establishments Act specifically says you must include working hours clearly within the offer letter itself. It's right there in the law.
Okay.
In Maharashtra, it's not just the letter. You also have a legal duty to provide physical ID cards to employees, and those cards need to include things like their Aadhaar details.
India's national ID number, right?
Exactly, that unique 12-digit number. Critical for all sorts of compliance. And the ID card also needs their role information, so it's an extra step beyond just the offer letter. And then, say, in Karnataka, there are specific rules about how you need to detail holidays and leave policies. It's not just about stating the number of days. It might be about how accrual works or carry-forward rules.
Wow, okay. These sound like small details, but I guess they add up.
They really do. They might seem minor, maybe just administrative annoyances, but they can make a huge difference if you face an audit.
Right.
Imagine you've hired your tech team remotely, maybe across 4 or 5 different states. Suddenly, you've got 4 or 5 slightly different sets of rules to follow for their offer letters and onboarding.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare to track.
It can be. Missing even one of these details can trigger a compliance flag. That could mean penalties or just a big scramble to fix everything retrospectively, which is never a good look.
So this really underlines that a one-size-fits-all template just isn't going to cut it for India.
Not at all.
For you listening, it means you've got to understand the specific rules for the state where your employee is actually based.
Yeah.
And tailor things. That's part of smart scaling, right? Not just growing fast, but growing strong.
Precisely. Smart, sustainable growth.
Okay, so beyond the core components and these tricky state rules, what about other legal pitfalls, like the hidden clauses or maybe concepts that startups just miss completely when they're drafting these letters? What are those landmines they don't even see?
Yeah, connecting this to the bigger picture of protecting your company, mitigating risk, one really big area is probation.
Okay.
Startups often forget to specify the probation period clearly.
Hmm.
Or, and this is really crucial, they forget to build in the flexibility to extend it if needed.
The extension clause.
Yes, it can save a lot of hassle if a new hire isn't quite hitting the mark after, say, 3 months. If you haven't explicitly included the right to extend probation in the offer letter, you might find yourself stuck. Either they become a permanent employee you're not happy with, or you face a much more complicated and potentially risky termination process.
Makes sense. What else?
Another huge one, and this catches so many founders completely off guard, is termination, especially for employees classified as workmen under the Industrial Disputes Act.
Workman. That sounds like factory workers, maybe. Does it apply to startups?
It's much broader than people think. It's
Yeah.
vital to understand who fits this definition. It's not just about manual labor. It can include many roles in a startup junior admin staff, technical support, certain operational roles. It depends on their specific duties and whether they have significant supervisory responsibilities.
Okay, so if someone is classified as a workman,
Then terminating them becomes far more complex legally. You generally can't just terminate at will or with simple notice, even for poor performance.
Right.
There are much stricter requirements, proper notice periods, potentially compensation calculations based on years of service, and you need very detailed, documented proof of performance issues or misconduct that justify the termination. The legal burden on the employer is significantly higher. You can't just let them go.
that sounds like a major potential issue if you don't know the rules.
It really is. Then there's the infamous non-compete clause.
Ah, yes. Everyone wants one of those.
Right. But here's the thing. In India, after an employee leaves, these clauses are mostly unenforceable.
Really? Mostly unenforceable.
Yes. This often surprises founders, especially if they're used to jurisdictions like some U.S. states where non-competes are more common.
Mm-hmm.
But in India, the courts consistently protect an individual's fundamental right to earn a livelihood. So post-employment non-compete clauses are generally seen as an unreasonable restraint of trade under Section 27 of the Indian Contract Act, and courts won't enforce them.
So just to be crystal clear, even if I have a beautifully drafted non-compete, the employee signs it, they leave my startup tomorrow, enjoy my biggest competitor. There's basically nothing I can legally do to stop them working there.
That's pretty much the reality in almost all cases. It's not just hard to enforce, it's generally considered void.
Wow, so what can you do to protect the business?
Your protection lies elsewhere. First, strong confidentiality agreements to protect your trade secrets, your client list, your code, etc. That is enforceable.
Okay.
And second, well-drafted non-solicitation clauses. These are different. They prevent a former employee from actively poaching your clients or trying to lure away your remaining employees for a reasonable period.
Non-solicitation, not non-compete.
Exactly. Courts generally uphold reasonable non-solicitation clauses. So understanding that distinction non-compete is mostly out, non-solicitation is potentially in, is absolutely vital. That's how you protect your business assets without breaking the law.
That is incredibly important clarity. Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Let's talk money. Compensation. It's huge, obviously a core part of the offer. And you mentioned it's complex, especially with the upcoming wage code. How should startups structure compensation correctly to ensure compliance?
This is absolutely critical, and non-compliance here can lead to really significant financial liabilities like back payments, penalties. It gets messy. The key benchmark you need to aim for now, largely driven by the upcoming wage code reforms, is that your basic pay plus dearness allowance, or DA. Though DA isn't always common in startups, so often it's just basic pay should be at least 50% of the gross pay.
50%. Okay. Basic plus DA should be half or more of the total gross salary.
Correct. That 50% threshold is crucial. It impacts calculations for things like Provident Fund later on. It's a major reform aimed at standardizing wages across India, so you need to build your structures around this principle.
Okay. And what about those mandatory contributions?
Right, you absolutely cannot forget these. Provident Fund, or PF, that's the Mandatory Retirement Savings Scheme. It's required for any company, any establishment with 20 or more employees.
20 or more. Okay.
Then there's Employee State Insurance, or ESI. This provides medical and cash benefits. It applies if the employee's monthly gross wages are below 21,000.
21,000 rupees threshold for ESI.
Got it. And finally, gratuity. This is a statutory benefit, kind of like a loyalty bonus, a lump sum payment an employee is entitled to after completing 5 years of continuous service with the same employer.
5 years for gratuity. These aren't optional then.
Not at all. These are statutory obligations you have to comply.
So practically speaking, even if I'm just a tiny 10-person startup today, I still need to think about this stuff?
Absolutely. You have to plan for these statutory obligations right from the start, because you might hit that 20-employee mark for PF sooner than you think.
Right.
Getting this breakdown right, ensuring the 50% basic, calculating PF, ESI correctly, it can be really complex. There are various rules, thresholds. It's easy to get wrong.
Sounds like it.
However, this is where technology can really help. There are platforms out there, like offre.co is one example, that are designed specifically for this.
How'd they help?
Well, they make it super simple. You basically input the total cost to company, the CTC you've offered, and the platform automatically generates a compliant salary breakdown for you. It calculates the PF, the ESI contributions based on the rules, ensures you meet that 50% basic guideline, all by default.
Okay, so it takes the complexity out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It helps you set yourself up correctly from day one and avoid those nasty surprises during an audit later on.
You've shared some really critical compliance insights, and honestly, it sounds like a lot for a busy founder or maybe a small HR team to manage, when every day feels like a sprint.
It definitely can be overwhelming.
So what does this mean practically? Is there a way to, automate some of this, make compliance less of a burden and more of a streamlined process?
Absolutely, there is. And automation is really the key here for startups that need to stay lean and focused. The key is to leverage smart tools. Look for platforms that provide compliant offer letter templates, but importantly, templates that can be customized specifically by state because of all those nuances we discussed.
Right, state-specific is crucial.
Crucial. These tools should also ideally handle things like auto-filled compensation breakdowns based on the CTC you enter. They should enable e-signing so much more efficient, no paper chasing. And critically, they need to maintain a robust digital trail. Every version, every signature stored securely. That's gold dust if you ever face an audit or a legal question.
Peace of mind, basically.
Huge peace of mind. And beyond just the offer letter itself, the really comprehensive solutions, they go further. They might provide automated alerts for things like, hey, this employee's probation period is ending next week.
No, that's useful.
Yeah. Or reminders for annual increment letters. They aim to build a complete HR compliance layer specifically for Indian startups, covering things like generating compliant pay slips, maybe helping with PF filings, streamlining the whole onboarding process, all in one place.
So it frees you up.
Exactly. It frees you up to focus on what you actually want to do, growing your core business, innovating, talking to customers rather than getting bogged down in complex, high-risk administrative compliance work.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. What does this all really mean for you, our listener, as you're navigating this exciting but, challenging journey of building a startup in India? Your offer letter.
Yeah.
It's not just admin. It's that first legal handshake. It's a foundation stone for your company's future. So make it count. Make sure it's compliant.
Definitely.
And maybe consider the tools out there, like you mentioned, offrd.co, that can really simplify what can otherwise be just an incredibly complex and time-consuming headache.
Yeah, and if you are a startup founder or an HR lead listening now, I really urge you, audit your current offer letters. Do it today. Don't wait for an inspection or a problem.
Good advice.
Check them. Are they missing state-mandated fields? Are those crucial legal clauses we talked about, probation, termination, compensation structure, are they clear? Are they correct for India? If not, it's really time to fix them. Being proactive here isn't just good practice, it's genuinely essential for your long-term survival and success.
Absolutely. And as we close this deep dive, here's something to think about. Beyond just the legal checkboxes, what deeper message does a really well-crafted, clear, fair offer letter send to that new person joining your team?
Good question.
How can that offer letter become more than just a legal document? How could it be a cornerstone of trust, transparency, and signal the kind of long-term commitment you want to build between your startup and its most valuable asset, your people?
Yeah.
Something for you to mull over until next time on The Deep Dive.